When love enters your life, it's never by accident. There's a quiet rhythm in the universe that pulls two souls together when the time is right. You may think you met by chance, that it was a coincidence or luck. But nothing about real love is random. When two people's hearts align in truth, something greater than both of them begins to move. It's not just emotion, it's energy, it's divine. It's heaven saying, here is someone meant to remind you of what your soul already knows. And that's why, even when things get difficult, even when silence grows heavy and distance stretches wide, you still feel something deeper than logic can explain. It's that invisible thread that refuses to break. You might have tried to move on, to convince yourself that it's over, yet somewhere within you, there's a stillness that whispers, no, this isn't finished. That whisper is not your imagination, it's guidance. It's the voice of heaven protecting something sacred. Because when love is real, it doesn't obey the rules of time or distance. It's not about who texts first, who walks away, or who stays silent longer. It's about the connection that exists beyond all that. It's the reason you still feel their presence when you look at the sky, or why your heart softens when you remember their laugh. Love doesn't disappear. It transforms. And when it's written by heaven, it finds its way back in divine timing, not human timing. Sometimes the universe separates two people not to destroy their bond but to protect it. It creates space, silence, and solitude so both hearts can grow stronger, so that when they meet again, they understand each other in ways they couldn't before. You see, love that comes too early can burn out fast. But love that's guided, refined, and protected by something greater becomes unshakable. The pain you feel now, the confusion, the distance, it's not punishment, it's preparation. Heaven is not denying your love, it's deepening it. But when you're in the middle of that storm, it's easy to forget. You start to wonder, if this was meant to be, why does it hurt so much? Why does it feel like I'm losing something I can't replace? You see, the human mind looks for proof, for clarity, for control. But divine love doesn't work that way. The more you try to control it, the more it slips away. The more you try to chase it, the further it runs. Love isn't meant to be held tightly, it's meant to be trusted. Because what is meant for you will never leave you. Not truly. It may drift, it may test your faith, but it will never vanish. So when everything feels uncertain, when it feels like you're standing alone in the ruins of what once was, remember this: heaven is still writing. The story isn't over just because the chapter feels painful. Sometimes love needs silence to echo louder. Sometimes two hearts need distance to remember their rhythm. The universe is far too wise to give you something so beautiful only to take it away without reason. That person, that love, it entered your life for a purpose that your soul understands even when your mind doesn't. It taught you something. It awakened you. It made you see life, yourself, and the world differently. Maybe that love is meant to return, maybe it's meant to transform, but either way, it's being protected. It's being guided. And if you can surrender your need to control the outcome, you'll begin to feel that quiet assurance that everything is unfolding exactly as it should. There's a reason your heart still hopes, even when your mind has doubts. There's a reason you still feel their energy, their warmth, their essence, even when they're not near. Souls don't forget each other. They carry the imprint of what they've touched. When two souls are aligned, their love becomes a kind of prayer, one that reaches heaven effortlessly. and heaven listens. Even when you think nothing is happening, everything is happening. Every moment of faith, every tear, every silent prayer, it all moves energy. It all keeps the bond alive. So don't give up now. Don't let fear convince you that it's over. Love doesn't vanish because things got hard. It grows, it shifts, it matures. The same force that brought that person into your life still watches over your connection. Trust that force. Trust the timing. Trust the unseen hands shaping your destiny. Because somewhere beyond your worry, beyond your pain, beyond your human doubt, something divine is at work. Heaven is protecting your love. And when the time is right, you'll understand why you had to wait, why you had to hold on, and why it was always worth it. Every love story, no matter how divine, must walk through moments of darkness. It's the nature of all things that carry meaning. They are tested, stretched, and sometimes broken open so that something deeper can emerge. You see, when love feels easy, it's beautiful, but when love is tested, it becomes sacred. The universe doesn't challenge your heart to punish you, it challenges it to reveal its strength. Every hardship you face together, every silence, every misunderstanding, is not a sign of failure. It's a part of love's purification. The way heaven makes sure that what you have is real, not fragile. When you find yourself in the middle of that test, it's hard to see it that way. It feels like everything is slipping through your fingers. You start to wonder if you did something wrong, if love was never meant for you, or if perhaps it was all an illusion. But that's the illusion. Believing that love disappears when it's challenged. In truth, it's only when love is tested that its foundation is revealed. When the laughter fades, and all that's left are the raw edges of misunderstanding, the question becomes, will you still choose love? Will you still trust what your soul once recognized as home? The universe often uses silence as a language. It takes away comfort so that you can listen more closely, not to the noise outside, but to the truth within. Sometimes, the person you love pulls away not because they've stopped loving you, but because their soul is learning something essential. And sometimes you are asked to wait, to hold your faith steady, while heaven works on the parts of the story you cannot see. These moments of distance and confusion are not endings. They're spaces for transformation. Love can't grow in constant comfort. It grows when it's challenged, when it's stretched to its limits, when it's refined by patience. You might think, but why must love hurt if it's real? Because pain, in its quiet way, is also a teacher. It shows you what you value most. It exposes the parts of yourself that fear loss and teaches you how to love without possession. Real love is not about control, it's about surrender. It's trusting that even if things fall apart, what's meant for you will find its way back, stronger and wiser than before. Every tear you shed for love is not wasted. It waters the roots of something far greater than your present pain. Imagine two souls standing in front of each other, both carrying their own wounds, fears, and histories. They fall in love not because they are perfect, but because they see the divine in one another. But for that love to last, those wounds must rise to the surface. That's when the tests begin. The misunderstandings, the silence, the distance, all of it emerges so that healing can take place. Heaven doesn't send love to escape your pain. It sends love to reveal it, to transform it into something higher. So when it feels like everything is collapsing, don't run. Sit with the silence. Let it teach you. The discomfort you feel is not the end of love. It's the beginning of a deeper one. It's the phase where the ego loses control and the soul begins to lead. The universe doesn't give up on love when things get hard, and neither should you. Every test is a bridge between where your love is and where it's meant to be. And when the other person seems distant, cold, or uncertain, understand this. They too are being tested. They too are learning how to love beyond their fears. Sometimes the test isn't about staying together, but about learning how to love even while apart. To bless them in silence. To hold them in your heart without needing to hold them in your arms. Because that's what divine love is. It's patient, it's vast, and it trusts in timing that only heaven understands. You may not see it now, but every storm serves a purpose. The moments of confusion shape your clarity. The nights of loneliness deepen your compassion. The heartbreaks awaken your strength. And one day, you'll look back and realize that what felt like an ending was the very process that protected your love from being shallow. Heaven doesn't test love to break it. It tests it to make it unbreakable. So when everything feels heavy, when you want to give up, remember that the test is a sign of importance. The universe only tests what it plans to strengthen. You were never meant to be destroyed by what you're going through. You were meant to be transformed by it. Let the pain soften you, not harden you. Let it open your heart wider, not close it off. Because when the storm finally settles, you'll see that what survived was never just love. It was faith, devotion, and something eternal that no distance or silence could ever undo. And that's when you'll understand every test was a gift in disguise. Every struggle a part of your love's sacred evolution. Heaven never abandoned your love. It was protecting it all along. There comes a moment in every love story when words no longer carry enough weight, when explanations fail, and silence becomes the only language left. It's in those quiet spaces that faith begins its true work. Love, at its deepest level, is not maintained by constant communication or reassurance. It's sustained by trust, by an unspoken knowing that what's real doesn't fade, just because it's unseen. When someone drifts away, when the connection seems to weaken, the mind starts to panic. It demands answers, closure, certainty. But the soul whispers something softer. Wait, trust, have faith. Faith is what holds love together when everything else falls apart. It's the invisible bridge between two hearts when distance grows wide. It's the quiet understanding that love doesn't vanish simply because you can't touch it, speak it, or see it. Even when silence stretches long and cold. Something within you keeps beating with warmth, as if your heart still recognizes a pulse that belongs to another. That's not delusion. That's connection. One that operates far beyond logic. We are conditioned to believe that love must be constantly visible to be real, that it needs daily proof to stay alive. But true love doesn't depend on presence. It depends on energy. When you love from your soul, your feelings don't exist only in physical form. They live in a timeless space where energy continues to flow no matter the distance. You might wake up one morning and feel them in the air, sense them in a song, or hear their laughter echo in your memory. That's not your imagination playing tricks. It's the bond reminding you that love is still breathing, quietly, faithfully. Faith is what allows you to hold on without clinging. It's what teaches you that love is not about possession, but about trust in divine timing. When you have faith, you stop begging for signs because you are the sign. You start feeling peace in your waiting instead of pain. You stop fearing the silence and start understanding that silence is sometimes love's most sacred space. A space where both hearts are being healed, refined, and prepared to meet again in a purer form. There are moments when you'll want to reach out, to fix everything, to force the connection back into motion. But faith whispers, let go, because when love is true, you don't need to chase it, it finds you again. That's the paradox of faith. It asks you to release the very thing you want to hold most tightly. It asks you to trust what you cannot prove. It asks you to believe that something unseen is more real than everything visible. And yet, those who have lived through it know, it's only in letting go that love truly finds its freedom to return. Sometimes faith means loving in silence. It means sending energy, compassion, forgiveness, and light to the one you love without needing acknowledgement. It means believing that even if they can't hear your words, they can feel your heart. Because energy never lies. It travels beyond distance, beyond time, beyond misunderstanding. Every thought of love you send becomes a quiet ripple that reaches them, even if you'll never know it. That's the hidden beauty of love guided by faith. It works quietly, invisibly, but powerfully. When love seems lost, faith asks you to look inward, to remember that you are part of something far greater than circumstance. It reminds you that heaven doesn't forget connections that were written in truth. The mind might say, it's over, but the heart knows that love isn't something that simply ends. It transforms. Sometimes that transformation happens in silence. You may not hear from them, but you begin to grow in ways you never imagined. You begin to love yourself more deeply. You begin to find peace in the very space that once hurt you. That is faith at work, turning longing into strength, turning waiting into wisdom. It takes courage to love this way, to love without needing control, to believe without evidence, to trust when everything around you says give up. But those who love with faith understand that what's divine cannot be destroyed. It may go through storms, it may vanish from sight, but it never truly leaves. And when you learn to keep your heart open through that silence, you align yourself with the energy of miracles. That's when love returns in the most unexpected ways, when both hearts have finally learned to surrender, not from despair, but from trust. So, when communication stops, when the calls go unanswered, when it feels like your love has dissolved into thin air, remember, energy doesn't vanish. Souls still speak when mouths do not. Faith is what carries those whispers between two hearts until they can meet again. And one day, you'll look back and see that your faith wasn't foolish. It was sacred. Because what you believed in, even without proof, was never lost. It was simply being protected, nurtured, and strengthened by something higher than both of you. And in that realization, you'll understand that faith was never about waiting for them to return. It was about keeping your heart open enough for love to find its way home. There is a kind of strength in surrender that most people misunderstand. We are taught to fight, to control, to hold tightly onto what we love, as if love is something we can grasp and shape with our hands. But true love, the kind that is meant to last, cannot be forced. It cannot be bent to our will. It flows, it breathes. It moves in ways that our minds cannot always comprehend. And it is in surrender, in letting go of the illusion of control, that we invite miracles to enter our lives. Surrender does not mean giving up. It does not mean stepping back because you are weak or afraid. Surrender is a quiet, powerful act of trust. It is the understanding that the universe is far wiser than you, that there is a force beyond your comprehension, guiding the people and moments in your life. When you stop forcing love to happen on your timetable, you begin to allow the natural flow of life to bring what belongs to you exactly when it is ready. That is when miracles emerge, often in ways you could never have imagined. You see, so often we exhaust ourselves by trying to manipulate outcomes. We call, we text, we plead, we argue, all in an effort to make love stay where it may be resisting. But the harder we push, the more we push away what is meant for us. Love is not a possession, it is an energy. And energy cannot be imprisoned. When we learn to step back, to release our need to control, we create space for love to return in its purest form. The universe fills that space with possibilities, with opportunities for connection that are guided by divine timing, not human impatience. Miracles often come quietly. They are the small, unseen shifts that rearrange circumstances in ways our minds could never predict. Perhaps the timing will suddenly align. Perhaps the person you love will change their perspective, or a situation that once seemed impossible will transform. But none of these miracles can happen if we are grasping too tightly, if we are trying to force the river to flow backward. Miracles arrive only when we trust the flow of life, only when we allow divine wisdom to guide us instead of our own fear. There is a paradox in love that is difficult to grasp at first. By letting go, you gain. By releasing control, you create a stronger bond. By surrendering to the unseen, you invite the visible. When you stop clinging to love as if it were a lifeline, you begin to experience it as freedom. And it is in that freedom that both hearts can breathe, grow, and reconnect with a strength that is unshakable. Love that returns after surrender is not weaker. It is infinitely stronger because it has been tested, purified, and guided by forces beyond comprehension. The act of surrender requires patience, and patience is a form of faith. Faith that what is meant for you will find its way. Faith that the universe is orchestrating events, shaping circumstances, and protecting your heart in ways you cannot yet see. It is in this patience that you realize the beauty of divine timing. Every moment of waiting, every tear shed, every night of longing, is part of a process that refines your love, aligning it with the destiny that heaven has prepared. Many people fear surrender because it feels passive. But surrender is the most active, conscious choice you can make. It is an act of courage to say, I will release my fear. I will release my need to control. I will trust that what is mine will not pass me by. In this act, you stop creating resistance, and the universe is able to move freely. You stop forcing doors closed that are meant to open, and you stop clinging to paths that are meant to shift. Surrender allows love to move unhindered, guided by a force that sees the bigger picture, the perfect timing, the sacred alignment of hearts. When you surrender, you also surrender the burdens that weigh on love, the doubts, the insecurities, the endless questions of why. You let go of the need to understand every detail, to foresee every outcome. Instead, you allow life to unfold as it should. And in doing so, you invite a deeper connection, one that is not built on fear or necessity, but on freedom, trust, and divine alignment. The love that returns after this kind of surrender is untouched by ego, unshaken by circumstance, and protected by the unseen hand of the universe. So, if you are struggling, if you are tempted to control, to push, to demand certainty, remember that surrender is not weakness. It is strength. It is faith in action. It is trust in a force that is far greater than your own understanding. Let go of what you think you need to hold on to, and allow love to flow naturally. When you do, you will see that miracles are not only possible, they are inevitable. And in that moment of surrender, you will understand that heaven has been protecting your love all along.